Greetings, fellow crystal gems. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And welcome to the recap podcast for what may or may not be the final episode of Steven Universe. I don't know, Dragon. To make a timely reference here, I feel like the people at Firefest. I'm just like, help! We're stranded and there's no way off. We don't know what's going on. Is this the end? Is it? I don't know. That's a bad analogy, Dragon. I just want to talk about Firefest. Anyways,
I noticed.
I feel like more people are talking about Firefest than are talking about the fact that Steven Universe is off air, possibly for all of time now. And I don't know, Dragon. That's the weird thing, is that I feel like this episode is very satisfying, but there's this weird cultural it feels like it's going out in a whisper, not a shout. You know what I mean? It's like, if this really is the end of Steven Universe, which it bugs me that, like, thematically, I absolutely do not see anywhere else for the show to go except for in flashback form, Dragon. I'll say that much. Like, if we get a TV movie to the birth or something like that, I'll be totally cool with that. As far as future storylines go, like advancing the characters beyond the point in which this episode ends off, I don't know. If Cartoon Network or Rebecca Sugar wants to continue the show, I think Rebecca Sugar kind of wrote everything into a really perfectly unified and tied up roadblock here, Dragon. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you. So, first off, in regards to if this is the last we're going to see, I mean, obviously we know the TV movie's coming up, but here's the interesting thing that kind of dawned on me when I was watching this, Tiki. So, this event's called, like the episode, the official title is Change Your Mind. And, the event itself is called the Battle of Heart and Mind. Now, what's interesting...
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, man. Are you sure that the Battle of Heart and Mind is still part of the equation here? I have a feeling that, that might have been, an early title or something, and now Change Your Mind is the official title.
Well, sorry, I was about to elaborate on that, but then I got me sidetracked. Okay, so Change Your Mind, though, is, I think they went with Change Your Mind because of the ending song. I think that's why they went with Change Your Mind. Again, thematically, it's kind of appropriate to what the whole crux, the whole White Diamond story is. But
I will admit, I like Change Your Mind better than Battle of Heart and Mind. I think it's more thematically appropriate to the episode and the themes.
Anyway, what I was saying about Battle of Heart and Mind is that it's probably Battle of Heart and Mind because, and I've known this since Comic-Con, and again, what they definitely played at the very end of this, remind people that, hey, even if it's over, there's still a TV movie coming out. This was the Battle of Mind, hence the whole Change Your Mind, and I believe the Battle of Heart is going to be that evil-looking heart-shaped gem, seemingly voiced by Tara Strong, we had coming up in the big TV movie in the fall. I think it's going to be, I don't know, I think it's going to be some sort of distant continuation. I'm not saying it's going to be like a direct continuation, but I think it's going to be like kind of like an event before it's going to be like, hey, and here's what happened right after that.
Right, Dragon. I got it.
Think like Dragon Ball Z movies to an extent. Think about we have the show, and then you have kind of like an event. It's like a reunion movie almost. Think of it like that.
Sure. And Dragon Ball Z movies, a lot of time, up until we got into the Super movies, Dragon, a lot of those movies weren't even in canon.
True, and again, could go that way. I'm not sure. Anyway,
don't worry. None of this is canon.
Oh God! Don't put it in that. Don't put it like that. Don't do that. Anyway, in regards to my thoughts on Change Your Mind, I got to tell you, Tiki. Again, this to me feels like the last. If they're playing it smart, this is the last. This is the last episode of Steven Universe. More accurately, this is a TV movie finale. It's the best. The best parallel, the best analogy I can come up with. I've been thinking about it lately too, but again, I think a better analogy than fire, at least.
Oh God.
Would be this is Star-Crossed. Star-Crossed was the big one of the big endings for Justice League. Now, Justice League See, Tiki, the running thing with Justice League, I think I might have mentioned this a while back when we were speculating about the end of Steven Universe. Justice League in the DC animated universe, they kept not knowing if they were going to be brought back, so they ended each season big in a way that would be satisfying if they never got brought back. Like Starcross was the first official ending to Justice League the animated series, and it was a three-parter. It was a big three-parter. It was glorious. Everybody loves it, and it's very satisfactory. It's great. Again, there are a lot of nice things I could say about Starcross. We don't have the time. Anyways, the point of Starcross happened again. Everyone, and that's pretty much it. That's a definitive ending. And then, of course, the network renews them. Says, okay, what else you guys? Says, oh, we threw everything into the ending. What do we do now? And they come up with another great ending after another great ending. They went 2 more seasons. However, they were still great finales and great seasons, but they lucked out. There's what I'm saying. So. This, in the same regard, we don't know if it's the ending, like, again, in the Starcross situation. We don't know if it's the ending, but again, if we never got anything else, I'm satified with this.
I mean, it truly feels like they're just going through the checklist of, like, okay, we got to wrap up the Lars thing. We have to wrap up, we have to show all the what happens when each character combination fuses. You know what I mean? It's like, oddly enough, though, Dragon, next to no onion in the season finale.
Which makes me happy. So that's the thing, Tig. It's a roller coaster bonanza of an event, of kind of a TV.
It very much reminded me of the finale of Samurai Jack, maybe a little bit more satisfying than that was.
At least universally, because a lot of people are still believing. I know some people are still just ticked off about that last season. Some diehard Samurai Jack fans weren't happy with half of that season, but yeah, it's But yeah, this, I think on the whole, I think everybody can kind of like drive to this one. But yeah, this is a good ending, or at least a good season ending, however they're going to approach it. But think again, Starcross is the perfect analogy. I feel is again Starcrossed in every way that it's great, and yes, we're going to get a little bit more Steven Universe. How that's necessarily gonna connect to this, we don't know. But even if who cares? At least we got an ending that we're happy with, and then beyond that, we'll roll the dice on it. It's kind of my overall feelings. Don't change your mind.
Okay. All right. So, man, oh man, there's a lot to break down here. I don't want to go too long on it. Where do you want to start?
Well, with the song, of course.
You want to start with the song? I mean, it's right at the very end of the episode.
Not that song.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Wrong song. Okay. All right. My bad. Okay. We
are the crystal
gems.
We always save the day.
And if you think we can't, we'll
always find a way.
That's why the people
of this world
believe in
garnet,
amethyst,
and pearl, and Steven.
All right. All right, so I assume you don't want to start with the song that the episode is named after. I assume you want to probably build up to that.
Good assertion, yeah.
All right.
But yeah, let's build. Let's go chronologically, but not every detail. Let's just go over the biggies.
Sure.
Let's start with the opening dream sequence. The opening, basically, we have kind of almost like kind of a setup for a Shyamalan twist later on at the opening of this, which I really love.
Oh dear. Don't talk about Shyamalan twist.
But seriously, tell me you weren't thinking that when you were watching this. There's a great kind of we flirt with a big old Shyamalan twist later in this. You gotta get over that at some point, man.
Oh, it hurts.
Anyway. Okay,
you know what hurts even more is the fact that it is thematically appropriate, so I can't even judge it on like that's not consistent with the character, because no, it makes fucking perfect sense symbolically. I just don't like it.
Anyway. Okay, so seriously, we have this great bit with Pink Diamond's memory. Yeah, we've always kind of played with Steven having these trippy dreams that kind of indicate the future, but also kind of like they can correlate with other characters. Sometimes there's a psychic link. We played with dream sequences with Steven before. And before, I think last episode, if not an episode before, we had the dream where, he's coughing up the pink hair, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So I love this because what's happening here is Steven, he thinks he's picking up where we left off. It's him waking up from his big old watermelon adventure last episode, the escapism episode. But in reality, he kind of pieces it together that he's experiencing one of Pink Diamond's memories, that the conversation she had with Blue Diamond. And as this is happening, we get to a point where whether this was exactly what led to the big moment or not, we don't know. We get a glimpse at the huge moment that basically birthed the Crystal Gems, where the three diamonds unite their power, they blast the earth, and everyone protected under Rose's shield did not get not shattered, but didn't get destroyed or kind of corrupted or whatnot.
Right.
And of course, visually, what we do with that is great. We keep shifting between all three forms. It's a great little kind of combination of our three personalities here to call in the question later on in a really awesome way.
Mm-hmm.
So visually, really strong way to start the episode. And again, it shows you we're kind of closing the circle on a lot of things with kind of bringing it back to the very beginning, the 1,000-year-old war that literally we see kind of the ending to kind of reminded of. And again, maybe it kind of sets up the stakes a little. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that this episode, at the very least, very definitively ends that war. So, I think it's a good setup.
That's a recap of the events in a way too. That's gonna,
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. So, okay, so with the so then we get kind of a let's talk about kind of how the diamonds are interacting with each other. Basically, let's kind of talk about generally Act One with blue and yellow building to white here. So again, so we kind of break through to blue, and then we eventually break through the yellow. So let's talk about the blue stuff to start with.
Yeah, honestly, Dragon, I think Blue Diamond is probably my favorite part of season 5, just as a whole. I mean, I really love the conceit of her character and what they do with her, and of course we've gone on and on about like the Dark Crystal-esque design of her. And I don't know, man. I just think this last episode with her just really cements it in terms of like this was a great like late in the game addition to the show story.
Certainly. I mean, the episode as a whole kind of flirts with the theme. Well, it deals with the themes of acceptance and basically accepting someone different. And we see how you accept someone different in a variety of ways, but specifically through the diamonds, we see how you accept someone different within the family unit and kind of get to a form of acceptance or kind of like accepting that person for who they are. So these are really powerful themes. Where again, it's a theme that we've kind of flirted with throughout the show. But in this last episode, or presumably the season finale, we'll just call it that to be totally on board here. It's the season finale. What we do is we really we don't cheap out on that. We have a huge payoff to, again, major acceptance of kind of ultimately the most stubborn character when we get the White Diamond. But again, we're kind of making it through kind of the barriers of that acceptance, kind of the big prism of light, so to speak. We're going through the blue spectrum of light here with blue. And I got to tell you, I got a sense of, I could be crazy here, but again, I got a sense of, there's always like a maternal relationship to all of our gem characters, especially with Steven, with, Pearl, Garnet, and Amethyst, obviously.
Mm.
But I think you also get a little bit of that with Blue. Blue, in a weird way.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Blue is somewhat of an amethyst, where again she's kind of a friend. She's kind of like she has the sisterly vibe, and blue and yellow to me feel like sisters. They really do. They feel like sisters, but also you can make the assertion that blue is either kind of a sister to Pink Diamond, or even a maternal figure, or again just kind of an older sister figure to make things simple. But however, I bring up the parental thing because Blue Diamond has a thing where she realizes, how she kept locking Pink Diamond in her room and made her sad all the time. Again, through her power, but the implication being, you lock someone away for being different or being different from how you were taught things went, and because of that, you perpetuated this kind of cycle of abuse. And again, she feels bad about it. She feels very remorseful about it, and importantly, upon waking up to this, she's making a change for the better. She's assisting Pink. It's kind of almost like the Inside Out thing of like kind of you feel sad to kind of get to work through the emotional pain, or kind of the emotional growth cycle, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
Then Yellow Diamond, the best way I can describe Yellow Diamond, Dragon, this might be an out there analogy, but I kind of look at Yellow Diamond as almost like Vegeta meets Squidward.
Wow, that's I didn't put that one together. Wouldn't work for that one.
Like she's got kind of like the pridefulness of Vegeta with like kind of like this stuffy, like, like annoyed neighbor quality of Squidward.
Well, you know what my big go-to comparison was for the Diamond family, especially in this last episode? I think I might have said it at some point when we were talking about season 5 at least, but I definitely here. I know I had to have said it with Yellow Diamond at some point, but after getting a full view of White Diamond and everything, I gotta tell you, it's Cinderella. Cinderella. White Diamond is Lady Tremaine, and Yellow and Blue are kind of they're the evil stepsisters. They're the ugly stepsisters who they got a lot more personality to them. Of course, Pink Diamond being Cinderella. The transformation again, kind of the acceptance of someone different. All that, and of course, there's kind of instead of gemware, it's kind of glassware in that story, but still ipso facto, splitting hairs here. But yeah, I like that. That's the thing. It's kind of an abusive family dynamic under this kind of Lady Tremaine-esque kind of matriarch. That's kind of what the family dynamic is here. And with Yellow Diamond, she's trying to live up to White Diamond. And again, you kind of have a sister kind of heart to heart between Yellow and Blue. It's a really beautiful scene. They kind of have after they mix it up a little bit. It's a really cool looking scene. These two giant diamond figures kind of crashing through buildings and everything. It's a really awesome shot too.
Oh.
But yeah, I just love the writing. Let's talk about the writing for a millisecond here. The writing is so on point, though. I think the writing's beautiful. I don't think any of the writing was off at all this episode. I feel like sometimes Steven Universe, the writing could be a little repetitive, or sometimes it could be directed in the wrong. It could be,
I think this episode, it definitely, like I said, it's an episode that kind of like ticks the boxes of what we need to see in a potentially final episode of the show, but it does that really well. You know what I mean? Like even stuff jumping ahead, even stuff like Lars coming in at the last, they give Lars just enough. It almost feels like, I'm not saying it's as good as Infinity War Dragon, but it almost feels like, kind of like Infinity War-esque in the sense that like even characters like, like Jasper has a moment. Bismuth doesn't get a lot to do, but she's active enough. The
real question is,
the distribution of screen time, unlike a certain M. Night Shyamalan movie, is really well handled.
The real question is Lars technically Thor because he has the scar over his eye and he comes in with like kind of
I absolutely think Lars is the Thor of this story.
The pirate ship and everything, like does that. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yes, of course, one of my favorite moments in the whole thing, Tiki. One of my favorite moments, at least the favorite moment, kind of in this Act 1 space, I guess. If we call back one of the favorite things from the first season of Steven Universe. Again, we're closing the loop. It feels like it's the last episode. Period. If every pork chop were perfect.
Yes.
Saying that
yes. I'm so glad you mentioned that.
I was pumping my fists in the air like, yes, they brought it back. Yes. But seriously, I just loved what I was getting at with the writing here. Is again, this basically Yellow Diamond, she has this wake-up call about kind of her inner suffering and the inner suffering that she and Blue have suffered at by a White Diamond seeking other perfections. The whole kind of ideology of the diamonds that we've been living through for at least more so season 2 onward, but even season 1 if you really want to split hairs. The whole since the whole show, the whole thing we've been perpetuating with the diamonds. That the whole reason we have these clusters and all these kind of these frowned upon gems is because of that flawed ideology that was kind of put into place by him.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Blue Diamond's kind of confronting Yellow with this, and of course Steven ultimately the whole nothing perfecting everything is at the cost of the corruption of your soul. Again, it's kind of like the inner corruption versus like a physicalized corruption. I mean, you're losing everything that makes you special, all the character. You're losing all of that if you're just going to be all prim, proper, and perfect. You're making everything boring essentially, and of course every pork chop were perfect. I love they used a philosophy that again is bred from the relationship between Rose and Greg. Kind of save the day there. Again, convince the most bull-headed obstacle before reaching the big dog, as it were.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So let's.
You want to talk about how horrifying White Diamond gets at certain points in the episode?
Well, first though, we got to talk about White Pearl for a second there, because you know me, I'm terrified by White Pearl.
Sure.
I am, because it disturbs me. I gotta tell you, there were moments in here Pearl-related stuff that did scare me and make me really emotional. It's like, oh, it had me on the edge of my seat. But Yeah, White Diamond. We keep building her up with her ship. Basically the whole all the diamonds form to make kind of like almost like a Voltron-esque kind of ship, and that's how they all travel. The legs, the arms, and then basically the torso, which is White Diamond. And we keep building up to her, and the way we build up to her, of course, is through White Pearl. And we start with this little device that gets scarier and scarier as the whole thing progresses, where White Diamond is the mouthpiece for White Pearl is the mouthpiece for White Diamond. And basically, and speaks for him. And we have this. Oh God, she has all these terrifying lines like, "Glad to see we're having fun." However, it's like, oh my God, it's so.
God,
it's just like she's being so pleasant, but then it's like a supervisor. It's like, I'm glad we're all having fun. However, White Diamond wouldn't appreciate how you're acting. It's like HAL 9000. This Pearl. It's very demoralizing and scary.
Uh-huh.
And of course, the new crystal gems, they show up, they help save the day. We got Bismuth, Peridot, and Lapis, importantly, with new looks.
Yeah.
I always love how we never forgot that every literally, you track even to the very beginning of the series, every time a gem reforms, they have a new tweak to their design. And of course, Peridot, she got her stars, Tiki. Did you notice Peridot got the stars she wanted?
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, it was nice to see those guys back, and you kind of continually. What was the point of escapism? Well, they're all there. Okay, point valid. Let's see. Connie
was still kind of like a little bit. I don't know. Like, sort of reminds me of another penultimate episode in Across the Sea from Lost, where it's like, really, guys, really, this is what you're gonna do when you have one episode left.
I love that Connie's arc is. I just want to mention this before we get to the big White Diamond real quick. I love how Connie, because it does feed into the White Diamond stuff. We got to talk about the fusions before we talk about White Diamond. By the way, we got to talk about that.
I got to admit, Dragon, the fusions are probably, they're not bad, but they're the most like obvious, like fan servicey kind of shallow thing in the episode for me.
You're not wrong, and I don't disagree. Yes, it's fan service, but it's kind of cool fan service, though. That's a thing. It's like, yeah,
it is. I don't. It was the one kind of check mark that I didn't necessarily need to see.
I'll give you that.
To see it, but it was like, all right, that's like I said. At that point, it's just kind of very fan servicey.
Here's the thing: we needed one fusion. We didn't need all of them. There's one fusion, like every other.
That's what I'm saying. It gets to be a little bit repetitive towards the end.
Well, real quick. I love the kind of Connie's. I like how she dealt with her mother throughout the earlier seasons. Kind of helps get through Yellow, which of course we saw it kind of parallel with Yellow. And ultimately, the whole like I've been grounded before, and of course, like I've dealt with my mother. My mother let me go into space, and that whole thing kind of feeds into how they defeat White Diamond. So I like that Connie's involved in the action, and oddly enough, they don't fuse. Again, they already fused to kind of bring about the situation. Therefore, they still somewhat fuse. But again, it's kind of interesting. Anyway, so we have like this. What do you think about the Unity beam? Because basically our diamonds are taken out, and then we reveal what's happened to them a little bit later on. But the diamonds are essentially, it's like this Unity purification beam that White Diamond has that basically turns them into like white pearls. It's just haunting and creepy. Basically, all the color is taken away from them. They're just pure light, and they're all.
Oh yeah, Dragon. I mean, this is where the episode to me really picks up, and it's like, like at the end of the day, the episode is all about, it's all about kind of like the pacifist theme that Steven Universe sort of embraced. But my God, we have to get to some horrifying shit to get to that. You know what I mean?
I mean, Tiki, the biggest question throughout my head during this special, and again, considering the movie too, I do wonder, like, if our big bad guy is going to be redeemable. Because again, so far, every character, every villain in Steven Universe has been redeemable. Every one. Jasper, you name it. They've all, Peridot, of course, all been redeemable.
Sure.
That's the thing. So, of course, I was wondering, like, is White Diamond going to be the one who we can't redeem, who we have to make a big decision about? I'm thinking the next one's going to be, like, the one we just can't redeem. We just got to deal with this next one. Like, I don't think we can redeem every single one. That's why I think it's going to be one of our big bads. I think that the heart-shaped one's going to cause trouble. That's my prediction on that. But anyway.
I mean, at this point, it's kind of the only place to go with the series is to have Steven deal with sort of like a force of nature type villain that can't be reasoned with.
Exactly.
like a, kind of a, to quote an old cliche here, some men just want to watch the world burn type of villain.
That sounds like a smart villain. So, real quick, so with the, let's just call it Fusion Fall. It's kind of, I don't know, I thought it was kind of a neat little Fusion Fall. Anyway, so when they're falling this wrong, I just want to like kind of check the boxes off here in case anyone wants to hear us talk about them. Okay, so we saw Smoky Quartz again. There's one I want to get your reaction to. Rainbow 2.0, where we had a Mary Poppins entrance on
yes, and how appropriate that's Pearl.
Now, what's cool about this too, by the way, I don't know if you noticed this, that specifically with Pearl, it's the rainbow quartz thing that we had in the We Need to Talk episode. It's that same fusion, but the 2.0 is again with the Steven mixed into the into the rose of it all. There, it's kind of that's where again. So it's the similar design, but it's different. Again, Steven's kind of factored into the design, and of course the voice and everything. So it's like the little details kind of go the extra mile, I thought. But importantly, too, we got to talk about this though. Seriously, Pearl's new jacket.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yes,
she got a new jacket.
I love how excited she is about it.
Yes, and it looks great. It's got the 80s shoulder pads, man. It looks great. Yep.
Oh god!
Lost my mind at that jacket. Anyway, sorry, getting off the Pearl jacket thing. But I seriously, I do like that new look for her. And she's got the. You know what's cool too about that mirror? I'm sorry, moving off on the jacket for a mere moment here. I love that she's sporting almost an identical, if not similar, design to the indie episode, to the last one out of Beach City. Again, her happiest self moving forward is that look. How beautiful is that? Then, of course, the one everybody lost their minds over, Sunstone. What do you think about Sunstone?
Honestly, I think as much as I like the Mary Poppins one, I think Sunstone probably would have been the one that I would have had over the other ones.
I just love that it's a gem that looks like a Sunny D or like a Kool-Aid mascot. And not only does it look like a mascot of some variety, it has PSAs. Tiki, PSAs! Seriously, breaks camera every time.
Exactly.
Like, kids, this is not how you handle a bully. You talk to an adult when you're facing off against a bully and have the suction cups and everything. Don't try this at home, kids. Like, oh my god, I was losing my mind. That's the thing that kind of saved me from the fans. Like, I think it's the main reason I give the fan service thing a pass, Tiki, because it's just like, you know what? These fusions are awesome, though. But then, of course, we have the Kuna Matata of the no worries. This fusion's in the house, folks. We have Obsidian.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, oh boy, Obsidian. So this is kind of like the gun on the table that gets fired off in the last act. Because the Crystal Gem Temple, Obsidian is carved into that thing. Of course, a fan theory was that it's all four of them fused together. We got to see it. That's pretty neat. It's the most imposing, terrifying fusion you've ever darn seen. Giant forearms. It's a giant woman. To quote with a lava sword. Pretty neat.
Yep.
And everybody gets their moments again in the Infinity War, like Peridot, Bismuth. Connie gets a new sword. Everyone's kind of laying some track there, really nice. Okay, let's talk about White Diamonds. Now to the big White Diamond stuff of it all. So I love, me, I was always interested by kind of that almost Neil Gaiman-esque kind of design on White Diamond. I was always like intrigued and somewhat terrified by White Diamond. And I got to tell you, they plussed it even more so. It's so many things I geeked out over White Diamond. One, I like her form. That we see that she has this cape. Did you see the cape?
Yeah.
It's kind of neat because again, before she looks like she was like built into the fixtures, but now she has to move more. When she has to move more, she's got this great kind of star cape and everything. And speaking of which, my favorite thing about White Diamond, this whole episode, Tiki, my favorite thing. They gave her almost like a Scott Snyder speech as her introduction, as her reintroduction. It's like, oh my god, I was so enamored by it. Where she has this great speech about diamond and purity. It's like Death of the Family or Core of Outs. Like Snyder kind of focuses on a little factoid and he kind of runs with it. Like a little bit of research. And we have this kind of gemology, this geology research here about diamonds and impurities and how they absorb light. Like, oh my god, it feels so Scott Snyder-like. I know there's no correlation at all with Scott Snyder, if I'm going to say in terms of that. It's just, oh my god, it's just great writing. So it's about like the impurities, about how yellow absorbs blue, therefore blue is her weakness, and blue absorbs all the warmth, which is why pink is her weakness. and I'm every color of light, but I repress you. It's like, oh my god, that's just so. Oh,
it's like, and like every good villain, it's like you kind of get their point.
Exactly. Again, if someone's obsessed with being perfect, it's the fact that I accept that, pink factors into me as a construct, but I ignore you because you are the definition of what would be imperfect towards me. It's, oh god, it's so twisted, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's all the dialogue, dude. Like, your new friends are so, looking at the crystal gems, new friends are funny. They're so funny. They're supposed to be funny.
Oh god, right? Yeah, that was great. That was great. Yeah, it's just like because that's the really interesting thing about the gem culture is just how beneath how beneath gems they view humans in some ways, and in some ways, like we saw with the human zoo, it's kind of like, even though they're beneath them, it's sort of like, oh, how cute, you know what I mean? How quaint, like it's not even malicious. It's just kind of like, yeah, of course humans are like far, far, far less advanced than gems are. That's just the natural order of things.
Yeah. So then I tell you, Tiki, I had a big I feel so stupid for it, though. I gotta be honest. I do feel just kind of stupid for it, given like, she's gonna be fine, right? As I would say to myself, like if I were sitting beside myself, I'd say, you were on, that. Why were you reacting now? The gems are hit by the unit, like this unity purification beam, and of course, you're invested in, you're dialed into it. Amethyst gets hit, and it gets really. This is basically kind of the Infinity War moment almost for the Crystal Gems. It kind of is.
Right. It's like they're just going to end the series with all of them possessed, and that's it, folks.
And
they did it. Diamond's mind. I mean, that's it. What are you going to do? Earth is doomed.
By the same token, it is kind of Infinity War, considering most of all of them come back. Considering, I mean, most we don't know all the answers, folks. But I mean, that's safe money. Spider-Man's going to be back. Safe money. Regardless, so Amethyst gets hit, and again, she has kind of the slow fade away, where she. But the one that got me is like Pearl got his, like,
I don't want to go, Steven.
What?
I said, I don't want to go, Steven.
Yes. Oh my god. It's like two moments where I was just like, Pearl was like, no. It's just. God. I like a dope. I was losing, like, oh no, not Pearl, anyone but Pearl. And then of course, then here's the moment where there's a moment where I kind of hated White Diamond for like I was so into it, like White Diamond, you, just where basically she had again great dialogue because I was so thrown into it. She says basically critiques each of the gems really emotionally and really cuttingly, where she goes to Amethyst saying insecure, and the Garnet dependent, the whole fusion dependent thing, and of course. Pearl and curl up in a fetal position, obsessed. Like, oh, White Diamond, you're going down. Go find a hammer. Anyway, so anyway, I have this. It all boils down to. Oh boy, it's. I'm sorry. You want to take us through some of this because I don't want to hog it all up here. You want to lead us through some of this great White Diamond stuff?
No, I mean, honestly, I'm not that fresh on the episode, so you can. Kind of take the lead on it.
I remember there was this great conversation here where again I love its again this is kind of the pacifist nature of Steven Universe. It's not really like kind of whammo blammo action. It's all about the emotional content of kind of the words between characters. And that's something we need more in animation, folks. Again, it's less. Again, they always the sell of a lot of animations. We have to have action and we can have dialogue. Because the things networks are terrified of are just all talking episodes. And, that's a shame that people feel that way sometimes. But anyway, sorry. Here we have this line from White Diamond saying, "You're the best of the worst." That's basically saying Pink Diamond, she hung out with the humans and the crystal gems and everything. I know why you hang out with them, because you want to feel superior to them. You're the best of the worst, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the big Shyamalan. Here's the big Shyamalan twist, folks. Where it's kind of a trippy question. It's like, oh my god, how far are they going to go with this? Where again, there's a big that I was so enamored by it all, man. I didn't see the obvious thing coming that we've been theorizing ever since the very beginning. Where the whole is Steven Universe real? Like it basically is. We flash back to the opening of the episode. We kind of jump between the three forms, like Pink Diamond, Rose Quartz, and Steven Universe, and kind of raising the question. Is Steven a fusion? Is he
right,
just
right.
in a very elaborate disguise, like so elaborate that it's human? And of course, then White Diamond says you're embedded in a human child, essentially saying you remove the gem and like as again, and Tika, this is them checking off the boxes in a great way story-wise. Like, if you just came into this one fresh, don't get me wrong, you're going to still need a lot of the series. But I mean, if you didn't see season 5 per se, and you jumped right into this, if you did, I think it kind of be recapped on the majority of the season here, where okay, we see the gems reform themselves. Therefore, we know a gem without the body can reform. Therefore, gems separated from Steven, in theory, would reform. Those are the kind of boxes I'm talking about here. So, big moment. Oh god, I was so terrified on the edge of my seat here because like, oh my god, this happening. It's fine. A part of me never thought it would ever happen.
I mean, this is where you know that you're getting into series finale territory here, right?
Exactly. It's like Steven, they remove the in silhouette, which is a brilliant choice. And of course, the whole black and white of White Diamond is perfect. Just removing like Steven's like basically crushed in her hand, and basically she's using her really long, creepy Neil Gaiman nails. She plucks the gem out, and that's the commercial. Again, they have these great kind of commercial act breaks for the thing in 4 parts here, and of course, like that's the removal. Like, oh my god, did I just see what I saw? And of course, we come back, and it's a big moment of truth. Like, oh my god, is like, well, what the heck is gonna? What are they gonna do next? Is Pink Diamond gonna reform? Now, Tiki, what do you think of the choice not to see Pink Diamond necessarily?
Oh, I respect it.
Right? Yeah, me too. I mean, you'd think again the easy choice would be okay. We show Pink Diamond, we have like a whole thing, which I'm not saying it wouldn't have worked, but again, they went bolder and they went in a direction that was more self.
I mean, I just think the whole point of the show is that Steven is his own person. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Complimented the idea.
Exactly. And I feel like the biggest element of Steven being his own person on a thematic point of view is this. Like I said, Dragon, for better or for worse, this show has a very pacifist tone to the whole thing from a storytelling point of view. And that pacifism definitely is, I feel like, what sets Steven apart, from pretty much any other character in the gem culture.
Oh, yeah,
including Pink Diamond.
Certainly. I do love that it's kind of like Steven in a light form. Therefore, Steven is kind of the light that's going to save the day, or kind of like the spectrum of light that's going to save the day in a way. It's going
to. Uh-huh.
So, of course, we have this really horrifying moment here where Steven, I'll get out. I love how the animation in this last section, I think, is the best animation in the series. I really do. Where we get to a bit where it's the best animation, but even before that, we have some really cool touches that lead to that bit. You know what bit I'm talking about, but before we get there, Steven and kind of the gem separate. One, we do this great perspective shift where the frame is split. We have a split screen. It's almost like De Palma style. We have a split screen. And they had to be looking at Carrie for the reference on this, man. They had to with the whole split screen. I saw it's so scary, even, where we have kind of Steven with the gem removed. Steven's not doing well because, one, he had something ripped out of him. Secondly, again, like it's a part of him, the half of his identity is gone. So, emotionally, he's in shambles, and physically, he's not doing so good either. So, so we have his perspective, and of course, we have the light version just kind of turning its head. Therefore, the camera turns on the one split screen. Then Carrie style just looks to White Diamond saying, "She's gone. What did you say to me? I demand you answer me." She's gone. And just shatters the platform and everything. Oh my god, it's a big moment. The power of words, folks.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Smart, nothing but smart choices in the ending, folks. Nothing but smart choices. So, of course, Steven's in agony. He needs the fuse. Again, the fact that fusion is what saves Steven's life. And again, the ultimate demonstration to White Diamond, of course. All that's tremendous. Then we have the best animated shot in the whole series. And Tika, this is TV movie budget stuff. This to me implies it's like a Phantasm situation where, okay.
I definitely got that vibe, Dragon. This would not feel out of place on the big screen.
Chances are, here's what happened. I don't know this for sure, but chances are this is what happened, okay? While they're doing this, they're simultaneously doing the official TV movie that we have coming in the fall, right? And that will most likely necessitate a bigger budget. And what they've done is they did whatever they were going to. They've done whatever they were going to do on that, or at least for the most part. And they had some left over, and they kind of diversified the animation teams, or whichever overseas studio they might have been using. I don't know if they did in-house or not, whatnot. Anyway, so however they did that, they put the money of the TV movie into that one scene. At least a part of that money. You know, that's what I'm saying. It's a piece of that extra budget they probably have gotten for the TV movie. They infused into this very pivotal scene in the series, and it was a brilliant call.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, like the animation, like the two of them like kind of dancing, fusing around, and being so. It's the happiest you've ever seen this darn kid, man. Then, of course, White Diamond, she's kind of embarrassed because she's acting like a child, and she's like, proud, just kind of like having a temper tantrum, and Steven kind of call her on this. And again, I love thematically, she blushes of embarrassment, and then, of course, which causes an imperfection, which, again, from a light, again, kind of the Snyderian kind of light spectrum talk, I love. I just love it all.
Right.
Of course, ultimately, the message is be who you are, faults and all. Be who you are, don't be afraid of it. And basically, literally, we kind of literalize this when we get to the kind of the next image, I suppose we have. Leave your own head. You have to leave your own head to understand that, which literally White Diamond is in her own head in the ship. So she leaves that and she goes to Earth with everybody. And before we see her, we see everybody reuniting. We got Lars and Sadie. They reunite after a long while. They seem to be in a good place.
Yeah, that was nice. I would have liked to have maybe seen a reunion with Lars's parents, but I understand for time and everything.
Oh, they were in the background scene, I'm sure.
I don't remember seeing Onion in the background. I'm sure he was there.
I'm just going to assume he wasn't and be happy. But yeah, man, I love you. We bring back again. This to me, as you've said, Barry, and I hope you're right. I think you're right. I think again, this is probably going to be the big old ending, as it feels like. And in doing so, we call like "Drive Your Band Into Your Heart." That song, we have that being sung on stage. Greg being the manager of the band and everything.
Yeah, Greg has a small but very, very heartwarming role reuniting with Steven.
Yes.
And then really cool, Dragon, I love the way that the episode kind of dovetails into basically recreating the intro of the whole series.
I love it. I love it so much. And as this is happening, we're seeing, a White Diamond being, she's out of her own head. She's seeing humanity. She's seeing the gems. She's being redeemed. She's being redeemed. And as she's being redeemed, the gems are fixed and everybody's hanging out. Jasper has a little moment where, again, it's kind of like Jasper being redeemed herself, but feeling a little embarrassed for, holding a grudge. It's great stuff. They're all having a pool party, darn it.
Dragon, I have kind of a crazy fan theory here. All right. Right. So, given the way that the episode kind of dovetails into the intro, my fan theory is that literally the whole series is just Steven and Connie and the gems like recounting all the adventures that have led up to this point around the campfire.
That's interesting, Tiki. That's very, very interesting. Because the only thing that throws me on this, because we had that little, bear in mind, it wasn't really in the series, so I guess it's technically on the table, your theory, because, we have the scene where young Steven is, they played the extended theme, and young Steven is singing the whole song and everything, and basically the same version we have here. Which kind of justify where that song came from in the first place. That's interesting. But yeah, you're right. They're all
like the pilot's not canon, to quote Uncle Grandpa.
Well, not even the pilot. Remember that little the thing they opened that Comic-Con with? But you're right. That wouldn't be canon.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's canon enough, but it's not really in an episode. So by that, but they also have shorts. I don't know. It's a weird canonical thing. But let's just go with your thing for simplicity's sake. Sure, I buy into it. I mean, the only thing that throws me is the last shot that they look different. That's the only thing that would throw me on. If they look the same, then I'd say, okay, absolutely, that's absolutely what happens. But I don't know, they have a different look. Which again, I like Garnet has new sunglasses. I like that's the only thing they changed on her, by the way.
But I really, really love that last song. I mean, I just think the Change Your Mind song just really sums up the whole show in a way.
It is, and again, thematically, it's absolutely, it's what the whole series has been about, getting people, again, deep down, it's been the whole, kind of changing people's perspectives on a few things. Again, it's not been like the A mission.
And I feel like the one time that was almost kind of a disappointment was with the cluster, because I feel like the cluster is sort of like what you were talking about, where in a perfect world it would have been more of like a force of nature type bad guy that maybe couldn't have been dealt with.
Yeah.
That was the one time in the series where I thought the pacifist nature of Steven really kind of felt forced in a way.
Pretty much. But yeah, Tiki, seriously, again, bringing it to that image, I thought was, again, it feels the most like this is the ending of things, man. Like it doesn't get any more perfect than that for an end. They're all in the same poses as the end of the introductory song, and we have a little fresh song that kind of like summarizes what the series has been about. So it's perfect. It's a perfect ending.
Yeah, and Dragon, I really, really hope that the TV movie, at the very least, like, because this is the one thing, like, the one singular thing that didn't get checked off in terms of stuff we want to see. I really hope we get to see that, the heartbreaking flashback that we all want to see. I really hope that the TV movie includes some sort of flashback structure in there.
Well, all is possible, Tiki. All is possible. Because again, we have this one gem that's unlike all the other gems in the shape of a heart. So again, I don't know. I think it calls into question, like perhaps gem placement, like the formation of a gem. And of course, we're talking the formation of a gem. I don't know. Maybe the birth could come into play with that. I'm spitballing, but you never know.
All right. I think we've pretty much covered everything we need to cover, Dragon.
Yeah, I think that's all the biggies. I think we covered. Yeah, I think we covered that.
Okay, let me switch over to another thumbnail, and then we'll go ahead and chime in with your final thoughts.
My final thoughts is again, folks. I don't mean just just to circle back, I guess, because this is circling back to the very beginning. Therefore, it seems like it's the very ending. So, assuming this is it, this is all we get. Assuming they're pulling a star cross and that it's the end. But of course, on the other end, if it's a star cross, and they're going to try to come back after this. God help Rebecca Sugars. I don't know how you top this. I really don't. But we won't be. I guess we won't be back until the fall with the Heart and Minds. But it's just called the movie, right? And there's no official title. I'm putting it under the event banner. But it's seriously, I felt very satisfied with this ending. I wouldn't have it any other way. I think it hit all the right notes. Again, had the emotional context. Again, White Diamond was a big, very satisfying payoff. And again, I'm not sure how. On the whole, I think during his last event, I guess, like the last kind of quote unquote Stephen Bomb of week by week. Again, escapism is the only one that had me scratching my head until the very end. It was the only one I was really mixed on. Everything else was pretty solid, and this ending was spectacular. So it was, top marks for me.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I just think it's yeah. I just think it's a shame that the airing schedule kind of killed the momentum of the show. I feel like in some ways there's I know it's not as bad of a situation, Dragon, but I feel like there's some shades of the Legend of Korra here.
Oh, major
where
shade.
It's like, yeah, you think so? You think so?
Definite shades of a Legend of Korra where they're going with the wrong A material, where they're not realizing where like they have a quality show and they're not giving it the attention it deserves. And again, they're airing it all sorts of random places where people can barely see it. It's just it's a nightmare. It's a network thing. It's terrible. But
okay, I'm glad we're on the same page with that, Dragon, because you know a lot more about the Korra situation.
Like again, it's a little it's a smidge different in the execution, but it's pretty much the same thing.
Okay. But at the end of the day, I think it just ultimately comes down to it's a really, really satisfying season finale. I just wish that covering the show for as long as we have and being there in the high of highs where we had like several people watching live as we reacted to Mr. Greg and literally gave it a standing ovation live on air. We've been through this show for a long time, and I just think that I feel like it's a shame that Steven Universe isn't more talked about, and I definitely feel like the show sort of peaked around season 4, and season 5 as a whole was not nearly as good as some of the other seasons. I would even say the show peaked around season 3, to be honest with you. I think season 3 was probably definitively the best season. But regardless of the highs and lows in quality and the wonky airing schedule and everything, it was certainly a ride worth going on. It's definitely a transformative TV series in terms of it's just in terms of the themes and everything and the representation and the sexuality and everything with the show. It's definitely a game changer for sure. I mean, you can't take anything away from that. To quote Red Letter Media, it broke new ground. It really did, Dragon. It really did. And I think I think it's got a lot to be proud of. Unfortunately, I think the two things that really killed it were the wonky airing schedule, and unfortunately, I have to bring this up, Dragon. The fan base for the show could have been better at times.
Yeah, I've heard some. I've looked into it a smidge. Again, I don't know all the ins and outs, but I've definitely heard.
Well, the one major event with the fan base that kind of turned everyone against it.
That's the main one I'm thinking of. If we're thinking of the same one, yeah.
Yeah. So that, I think it's almost like a Star Wars type situation where, it points the fandom itself became a bigger headline than the series. But yeah, regardless, it was for all the ups and downs, it was very satisfying series finale. And, in spite of the only thing I changed about the series finale, honestly, is I cut back the number of fusions, but that's a very, very small nitpick, Yeah. Overall, it's very satisfying.
It overshot it a little. Get it more perfect, Rebecca.
All right. So, folks, until that inevitable TV movie, signing off for one last time, we are the Crystal Gems. We'll always save the day, and if you think we can, we'll always find a way. That's why the people of this world believe in Tiki,
Dragon,
and Steven. You know what I believe in, Dragon?
What do you believe in?
I believe in Pearl's jacket.
Yeah! Every pork chop perfect.
To randomly quote the guy from the beginning of The Dark Knight, what do you believe in, huh? What do you believe?